people really write me and say, you know, we know that you know about the lizard people, you know, don't you? And they underneath, they really are that way.
In essence, it is a peaceful, surreptitious invasion.
It's a warning for all time, I think. It remains as relevant now as it did then, possibly even more so.
It also has a really timeliness given now where we're headed in the world and with so much fascism, out and out fascism.
The story of V is about alien motherships coming to Earth with these seemingly benign humanoid aliens who have come to Earth to seek our help because their own planet is being threatened and they need special chemicals. But that's what happens. What it's about is ordinary people living under occupation, under oppression, and the choices they have to make.
It's really like Spartacus and the revolt of the slaves. It's about any oppressed people that are being overseen and pressured and discriminated against and scapegoated by some overseeing power.
There are different types of science fiction, and you can have space operas and something like more like a Star Wars or a Star Trek, and then you can have very, very grounded science fiction, which I think V is. Despite the alien presence, I think it is quite a relatable story then and now.
It was extremely exciting and a thrill and honor to work with the legendary Kenneth Johnson, who couldn't have been more supportive and helpful, but also, a very critical friend, I think is how I put it, because every sort of step of the way, from my first emails to him saying, my sort of mission statement, okay, this is the tone I want to go for, this is the approach I want to take. I want to keep it very, very true to his original vision, but update it and do some things differently. And he has been all across it, from for artwork to the scripts. He turned up in the studio, so it's absolutely been wonderful working with him. And I mean, one of the main motivations for this is to bring in new fans for V, to please existing fans, and for me personally to produce something that Kenny will be really, really proud of.
I'm very curious as to how it's all going to come together in terms of the music and the sound effects and everything. And Johnny Morris, who's been writing the first 3 episodes, has been just wonderful in terms of his collaboration and his ability to listen to me and to use I said, use all the words you want, please. The more it sounds like my original, the better I feel it will be, because it was honed for a long time. And also, you got the fans waiting for you. And the fans want to see what they remember. It's like part of the reason that the Bionic Woman remake did not succeed, and other V remakes have not succeeded, and the Incredible Hulk movies, the first 2 were crashed and burned financially and artistically, was because the audience came to it with expectations of what they remembered from what we had done originally on the Bionic Woman and the Incredible Hulk and V. And then when they see it's coming on again, oh, that's great, and they tune it in, and they don't get the same feeling, then we've lost it. So that's what Johnny and I have been endeavoring to do, is just to keep that feeling going.
One of the most fun and challenging aspects of my job is to make sure that we get the right cast. And when I read the script, obviously I knew that the character of Mike needed to be someone with real grit, kind of that daredevil edge to them, but also that sort of Tom Cruise charm as well. And I had met Jack Myers a few years ago, and I kept listening to other actors, listening to voices. I didn't hear anyone where I thought, yeah, that's Mike. And then I listened again to Jack and thought, oh, God, why did I not think of Jack straight away? He's got this incredible gravel and edge to his voice. Playing Juliet, we have Annabelle Baldwin, who I have not worked with before, but again, I listened to so many people. I needed someone who sounded 20-something, but really highly intelligent, determined, focused, womanly, but still young. And you'd be amazed how many I listened to, and I thought, no. And then I listened to her, I thought, got it. And then for Diana, obviously we needed someone with a kind of iconic voice. And I have been fortunate enough to work with our actress, Janie Dee, who is probably best known for her work in musical theatre, but she's also a multiple award winner in plays and has done TV too. And she has this deep, extraordinary voice and a real flair for being commanding but charming and, terribly likable, actually, which is what you need for this character. So, we're really lucky to get those three.
I mean, everyone's gonna say it, but the moment with the jaw that kind of extends, overextends, and the rodent, it's the iconic moment, isn't it? It's the moment that like everyone, and I think actually like looking back, especially for the time, the effects, it still has an unsettling quality about it.
I happened to walk into the recording booth and I am hearing, delicious. I thought, oh my God, that's got to be Diana eating the guinea pig. And I couldn't believe that I walked in right at that moment. It was like, because that was such a seminal moment in television, but to hear it going out live on radio like that was really a hoot.
I think the impact of the original series was such that it still has a legacy, right? It still has a huge fan following. And I know in the years since the broadcast of the original, fans have been clamoring for more, to revisit that story, in particular to kind of lean into what Kenneth Johnson, the series creator, was originally planning to do. I think fans really want to get back to what was special about the very early episodes of so I definitely think there's going to be an audience for a revisiting.
I've been a lifelong fan of the show since it aired.
100% married into this. As much as I love V, I had no idea about it until I met Martin.
The series B is so well remembered due to it has a massive cult following because the writing at the time was amazing. It's very character driven and obviously the underlying tone. So obviously knowing Kenny was heavily involved in this, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's interesting relocating from the US to the UK. I think the original television series had something of a US sheen to it. So potentially by telling the story in a different location, there's an opportunity to switch up the feel and the mood of the series. Maybe it could be a little more kind of gritty, I guess, being based in the UK. But I'm definitely interested to hear the new version and see how that impacts the story.
When Kenneth wrote it, he was thinking very much in terms of the allegory of the Vichy regime in France during the Second World War. But it's one of those things where he wrote it as a warning for the future. And you can see that it happens all around the world over and over again, that regimes come to power offering simple solutions and making scapegoats of various parties, and very soon populism becomes tyranny. And so it's a warning for all time, I think.
I read a novel by Sinclair Lewis, who had written it in 1935, as fascism was rising in Germany and Italy. And he wrote this book called It Can't Happen Here, because this is America. And I was intrigued to explore how everyday people experienced that and how they reacted to it. Like when any hyperpower rolled in, like when Germany rolled over Europe in World War II, how there would be one group of people that would collaborate with the overseers and suck up to them to gain power themselves and aggrandize themselves and get rich themselves and all. And then there would be a second group of people that would say, okay, if I just keep my head down, maybe they won't bother me, I won't bother them, they won't bother me. I'm not Jewish, or in the case of V, scientists. And, but then there's a third group of people who, of course, become the heroes, the ones that say, wait a minute, this is a mistake, this power is being abused, and, we've got to fight back against it.
One of the things I did in sort of bringing it up to date, because it's set in the present day rather than in the 1980s, was to bring in things like social media and conspiracy theories. So part of the Visitor's plan is to discredit scientists, and they do that by planting seeds of doubt in people who go, scientists, they've been lying to us. Maybe they've been lying to us about global warming and COVID, and they just build on the stuff that's already existing, because all oppressors need a scapegoat. They need someone to be a hate figure for the population, and for the visitors there's an ulterior motive, because they know that scientists are the ones best equipped to stop them.
In some ways it's very of its time, the time it was made, but actually I found watching it that there were a lot of themes that still felt relevant to the time I was watching it, and I think probably still are relevant now, which is why it's a story that is perfect for revisiting.
There's every reason to believe that there are other sentient beings out there besides us, some of them probably far more sentient than we are. And one of the fun things that I had about creating V was to have all of this massive armada of 250 spacecraft that are 10 miles wide come here and say, we're here because we need your help. It's like, what? You know, it was a very artistic approach to luring people in and being smart about it. Until 65 million years ago, the reptiles ruled the earth, you know, and they were on the road to what, you know, there could be walk-around bipeds, except that this big comet or meteor or whatever it was that hit the earth, created the Gulf of Mexico, and started global warming to the extent that all of the dinosaurs were extincted. We could very well be a walk-around bipeds that are reptilian. And that was really an important factor for me to latch on to, because I really wanted people to see this really could have happened here.
I think if V was real and the visitors had arrived on Earth, I like to think I'd be a resistance fighter. I think, or would I just try and stay out of trouble and keep my head down? I'm gonna say resistance fighter. I'm gonna put it out there. I'd join the resistance, of course. I definitely wouldn't just keep my head down.